lit.
It's truly lit. Or is it?
Well... Is that how we're starting?
I don't know. I'm in a mixture of feelings right now about the reading that we just did.
It was a lot.
I think that that's an appropriate way to describe the shit show that we just read. And I'm having a lot of conflicted feelings because as someone who genuinely enjoys this saga, but is also reading this through like the most critical lens, because that's the point of this. Everything is just like red flag, red flag, red flag, and it's just a lot to handle, I guess.
That's fair.
But hi, I'm Allie and I'm conflicted. So
hi, welcome to Into the Twilight. We have feelings about vampires.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at, Cody. How are you doing?
I mean, I feel like I am at a better position possibly because I don't have these emotional connections to any of the people in this novel.
Sure.
Because I could not give less of a shit about any of them or their well-being.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's a great place to be at. The benefit is that we are a third of the way through this book now.
Oh, thank God.
So that's good.
We still have so much more to go.
And it only gets more lit, and I don't know if I mean that in like a good way or in like a dumpster fire way.
I wasn't sure if you were making it like a literature joke, but
Jesus Christ, I mean I wasn't, but I am now.
It wouldn't be past you. Is why I thought that.
It's just so novel, I guess. But yeah,
we're proud of that one.
And I'm not proud of a lot right now. I think that the best way to describe what I'm dealing with right now is the actual title of chapter 7, which is just a nightmare. Like everything is just a nightmare right now.
That's very accurate.
It's just so much, and I don't know how to deal with it. But alas.
This chapter starts off with another shocking instance of Bella being pretentious.
Honestly,
which is shocking to no one.
Truly.
In which, like, Charlie is like, yo, watching basketball, living my truth as a single dad, just kind of living. And then she's like, ugh, I don't even understand how anyone could find this entertaining. Ugh, what's the big deal? Sports, gross.
Yeah, this is peasant activities.
I just can't.
Yeah, and even going as far as to say that about the own music that she's listening to. She's like, oh, this is trash. This is absolute trash. And then listens to it 3 times in a row and is like, you know what? Who the fuck's at this?
It's like, why don't you give things a chance at first, Bella?
Yeah, why do you have such high standards for everything except for all the things? It's not, whatever. In a shocking turn of events.
It's fine.
She has another dream sequence.
Shocking.
Truly, yeah.
Would you call it a nightmare?
I would actually.
As the title suggests.
Yeah, I would. I would call it a nightmare to experience, to read, all of it. And it's just...
to even think about it.
Yeah, because if it wasn't just enough for her to include another nightmare sequence into this text, the other one was 2 pages ago, we have to deal with all of the dudes in this dream sequence as well. Why couldn't she have just processed this anywhere else? There hasn't been a shower thinking scene, which Lord knows all of us spend time in the shower either disassociating or going through every possible scenario of our lives.
Yeah. Or thinking about the paranormal boys you want to fuck.
Exactly.
That's the time to do it. The time and place.
Truly. But no, it's a nightmare. And the thing that's weird about it is Stephenie Meyer has no chill in this sequence.
No, why would she?
Because Jacob has the most amount of foreshadowing in this, and it's going to be really frustrating to think back on all of this when we get to New Moon, because his whole plot line has been laid out.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to handle that.
See, that's wild because, I'm obviously, I know that he ends up being a werewolf or whatever. I don't know at what point in any of the saga that's revealed or whatever.
Sure.
But here to just be like, hey, psych, I'm a werewolf, wink, 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 wink.
Right.
Just right there, being I'm like, yeah, of course he's a vampire. But I'm like, if people are reading this, like, that's a major thing that happens later on, I'm assuming.
It is.
You can't just do that.
But she does.
We can't be, like, on the vampire train and be like, oh, is he not? What, we don't know. And then also, like, oh, psych, also a werewolf.
Right. Yeah, because
But, like, not till later, though.
This basically dissolves a major plot point of Bella being like, Jacob doesn't seem right, because it's all laid out in a nightmare of, like, he is a red-brown wolf, and he has black eyes, and he's unamused. That is his character. And so for her
I can imagine when that comes up, it's going to be so anticlimactic, right? Because it's like, well, I've already seen this. Like, I don't know exactly what this is.
Right. I don't like that decision, but it's fine, because then it moves on to something that frustrates me even more, which is the fact that there are 2 sentences in this dream sequence that literally lay out the whole series. Like, if you were to describe the Twilight Saga to someone else, you would pull out this line of Edward saying, "Trust me, he purred," and then Bella taking a step towards him, and then Jacob launching himself in between those 2. Because that's literally the whole thing. The whole thing.
That's it.
That's
it. All, folks.
Like, if I wanted to end this podcast right now and just not have any other episodes, that would tell you everything that's going to happen for the rest of the novels that we read.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to read any of this or watch any of it. That's just it.
Truly.
That's it.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I didn't remember.
Was that the moment when she, like, realized, like, how self-aware she was? So it was, like, as soon as she was writing it, like, it was just a fever dream and her fingers were typing and she wasn't even thinking about it. And It was just, like, all a blur. And then she was like, this is it. This is what I'm going to make billions of dollars off of. And this is what is going to be the saga of 4 books. Just this one line. Just this. I'm going to bank off of that forever.
Honestly. I know that she thought that the publishing house that picked up her book to create it, she thought they were punking her the whole time and that they weren't actually going to publish it. So now I wonder, like, if she went to go sit down and write New Moon, she was like, well, fuck me, because I literally...
Well, I'm stuck with this.
Yeah, I can't change the plot points of this saga because I already wrote them in here as a dream.
Right.
Oh my god, it's fine, because Bella wakes up.
You can't just do the most
fine.
Foreshadowing and then not do it.
Oh my god. I just
You're
don't...
gonna accurately lay it out for years in this one sentence. You gotta do it.
Truly. Yeah, she had to commit to the
She's
bit.
like, well, shit.
Yeah. And as if that couldn't be worse. She wakes up, right, and she's still got her boots on because she's just, like, losing it. And so then she goes and takes a shower. What? Stephanie! Stephanie, you could have done the thing.
Stephanie, please.
And it didn't even have to be, like, a sexualized thing, because it was just, like, an individual, like, first-person narrative. Whatever. I wish I was over it. I'm not over it, but I'm going to move forward anyways and just talk about the internet.
Wait, but hold on. Could you imagine, though, if she had 2 distinct, like, dream sequences back to back, one in the dream and one in the shower? Because, like, it's impossible. I can't even imagine waking up from something so visual and then going to the shower and being alone with your thoughts again.
I couldn't.
And
I would
not go back to that still.
There's no way in hell. Like, I understand.
Especially since Bella is a one-track mind kind of lady.
Truly.
Like, she's only thinking about this forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get the point of, like, oh, I'm going to take a shower and wake up. Nope, that's not what I would do. I would wash my face or brush my teeth or something to, like, trigger that, oh, I'm awake now thing. That doesn't mean me being alone for...
And retrospective.
Truly.
In a sauna, basically.
Exactly. It's a lot and makes me wonder... if Stephenie Meyer is a human, like, I don't.
Is she a vampire? Yes or no?
I don't know.
This is actually autobiographical. This is her life.
This is like textbook her life.
But this internet situation is the funniest thing.
Yo, what the fuck? It's okay. I know that I just doubted that Stephenie Meyer was a human, but this about the modem and the dial-up internet was the realest shit that she's ever written about. Because, like, what a throwback to 2005.
Truly.
Wow. I forgot.
Well, it seems more like 1995, to be honest.
I mean, yeah. I mean, she, like, could have just loaded that, taken a shower, and then it would have been done. But no, she had to go eat and stuff. Whatevs. But that was really the point where I was like, oh, okay, wait, maybe she actually is a real person Or maybe this is being authored by two people? Like, was this a ghostwriter situation? I don't know.
Oh my god.
I don't know. Whatever.
Are we making crackpot theories about Stephenie Meyer's existence?
I actually know a lot about her life, but I'm just gonna pretend like I don't for the sake of a bit.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, her family was a lot like the Cullens. It's fine. Anyway.
Oh my god.
That's why she wrote them in. So she goes onto the internet, right? And does like a deep web search.
It's literally, like, I can't even imagine how this is done in the movie. Like, I can't wait to watch how this plays out. Because she, like, sits down at her computer and, like, opens it up and, like, goes to this, like, bootleg Google and just types in vampire.
Literally just
That's
vampire.
it. What?
Yeah, so Stephenie Meyer said when she was writing this book that the only sources for vampires that she used were the ones that she used in this specific scene. So
oh my god.
They are going to literally use those specific resources in the movie as well. But yeah, she goes on a deep web search, aka chooses the first result. And
right. What is a vampire?
Yeah. Yeah. And wow. It's a lot to handle her just kind of creating this, like, is he not? Let me just check the internet and have them answer it for me like it's a WebMD situation.
And then she, like, literally researches every type of vampire there is, and then she gets to, like, the bottom of the list and, like, oh, sweet, there's a nice vampire. Lit. Hope that's that.
That must be him. Who he is. Yeah, perfect.
Obviously.
Well, and she does the bit where she, like, literally says what he is. So it's, like, goes over the speed and strength, which are impossible, the eyes, the beauty, the skin color. Like, it's just, it's a lot to handle. No chill, of course.
No, why would there be?
And you'd think after all of this, like, oh, okay, so I have concluded that this person I know is not actually a person and is instead a vampire. What do I do? So she goes through that and still concludes, yeah, fuck it, I'll just still deal with this dude.
There's no resolution. She's like, well.
I don't get it, because she knows, she says anyway, like, oh, I can't involve anybody else. That would be a bad thing. So right, obviously, I have to be the one to deal with this.
It's a burden on my shoulders.
I mean, she's not wrong, but also, you don't have to. You could just not.
Your problem. You could just not, is the thing.
You could just not. But, so...
Twilight, you could just not.
Honestly, that's what
any
it
of
should
it.
Be. So I remember when we talked about the popular highlights on the Kindle last time.
Oh, yes.
I didn't actually give any of those.
Because you suck.
To a different topic. So I wanted to provide one here because it's the first time that Stephenie Meyer actually says Twilight. And it's a lot to handle. So it's in this scene when Bella is trying to figure out what kind of vampire Edward is, because she's already concluded, of course, that he's not human.
Sure.
And so she says, oh God, because when I thought of him, of his voice, of his hypnotic eyes, the magnetic force of his personality, I wanted nothing more than to be with him right now, even if, but I couldn't think of it. Not here, alone in the darkening forest, not while the rain made it dim as twilight under the canopy. And was that necessary, though, is the thing?
So much.
Because a little context to that, right? So she figures out all of this information, then she's like, you know what? Fuck this. I can't handle it. I'm going to go be alone with
I can't even be in my room anymore.
Truly.
To get out.
So she goes to be alone with herself and her thoughts again in the forest. Because that's safe, Bells. If you're thinking that, like, there's this clan of vampires around, like, yeah, just go isolate yourself in the middle of nowhere. Good thinking, my dude. So that's why she's talking about, like, the forest and all that shit. And it's just a lot. And a little too, like, punch in the nose, not even on the nose kind of thing.
Yeah. It's like, hey, it's called Twilight. You get it? There's vampires. It's supernatural, spooky.
Yeah. If it was...
Yeah.
If the novel had been titled Supernatural, she would have just said Supernatural here instead.
Yeah.
Like, it's no chill at all. Whatever, Bella, it's fine. Choose your bliss. Please don't die. Thank you.
Please, God.
Please don't, because I think at this point, you're struggling. So anyway, I'm curious about what you think about what happens when she goes back to school, because I have a lot of feelings.
You always have feelings.
But
so.
It's directed towards a certain person that I like to use an expletive towards. So.
Oh, Sir Michael Newton? Is that the one?
Yes. Yeah, the good old fuck Mike Newton bit.
Well, so there's this whole, like, interaction between the two of them.
Yeah.
And I'm mixed.
Thank you.
About it. Because, like, so she's just there before anyone else, apparently, because, fuck it, she is just chilling in Forks alone.
Right.
And then just decides to go to Forks High before anyone is there.
Sure.
And so Mike, of course, is, like, the second person to arrive as soon as Bella's there. He's like, hey, yo, I love you. Your hair is red in it. That's wild. And she's like, yeah, I guess. Cool.
It's just gross. Everything about this interaction is so nasty. Like, nasty white boy nasty.
Nasty on both sides, though. Like, they're both awful in this scenario for different reasons. Because, like, Mike is like, yo, how you doing on that paper or whatever? And Bella's Bella's like, well, I'm already done, but doesn't want to say that because she's, trying to be less pretentious, but is not working.
It's not.
Really great at that one.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, well, I'm gonna do a paper on whether Shakespeare's treatment of the female characters are misogynistic, which a shining point of feminism for Bella Swan, which is unheard of.
Truly.
And, like, she makes Mike seem like he's an actual idiot. Like, does not understand any of the words she had just said.
Literally. Ugh.
And she's just like, ugh. He stared at me like I was speaking pig Latin. And I'm like, Bella, you're so pretentious. Like, it's not... Those are all very simple words, and I think he understands what those are.
If he understands Greek and Latin stems, he'd be able to understand, like, miso and gin, and understand that that's, like, hate and woman, and be like, oh, okay, cool. I got it. I took some sort of English class before.
Got it. And so then Mike is like, hey, want a date? Yes or no?
And just, like, passes a note forward, like, right. Yes or no, while they're still talking.
Honestly. It's like, I had this for you.
Yeah.
This was at least refreshing because at least he was being direct for once, instead of just, like, beating around the bush and sort of being like, well, na.
Right.
So that was at least nice. Clearly, it wasn't, reciprocated, which is fine. And Bella's like, yeah, let's not, though.
Really?
And then he's just like, well, fuck my paper. I could just take you out to dinner.
Right.
It's like, homie, Mike.
And
Mike.
Just, like, chill for 2 seconds, Mike. Please.
Just chillax.
Because he's... Well, I mean, I think the grossest thing about that is Bella's like, what, Mike, are you blind? And it's like, shut the fuck up, Bella, though, is the thing. But I think some of the grossest things about that situation, too, is, like, why are you touching someone's hair?
Yeah.
And the fact that he's like, what did you do yesterday? And
yeah, that was weird.
And she's like, his tone...
What were you up to?
Because she was saying that his tone was just a bit too proprietary. And it's like, don't you think that, like, any bit of proprietariness would be a lot? No.
Yeah, like, too much.
Seeing as he has no reason to have any sort of investment other than the fact that you guys are just friends, and you could be like, hey, so what was up? But he obviously didn't say it that way. So that whole interaction was just very like, okay, so Mike is out. Good to know. That took a long time.
And also she's like, hey, Jessica's definitely in love with you. You should do that. Which I can't even tell if it's like her just trying to get rid of him or her actually genuinely caring about Jessica, which seems unlikely because, she has no emotions towards anyone except for Edward.
Right. Yeah. I think it ended up working in her favor that Jessica was absolutely stoked about it. And
right.
then as soon as Mike ended up asking Jessica, that's all that she could talk about. And so Bella was like, cool, I bet on the right thing. Good job.
Right. It's like, well, that's out of my hair now.
Honestly.
Time to dream about Edward more.
Truly, yeah, because she's
guilt-free.
Sort of listening to Jessica go on about that, but mainly is just freaking out because not only is Edward gone girl this time, but the whole Shiny Squad is gone girl this time.
All of them.
And she just cannot handle it. And I think that it's very interesting that the primary interactions that she has with the Shiny Squad are such a source of like anxiety or excitement, but there are a lot of high emotions for her, and they're also tied in at the cafeteria where she's supposed to be eating, and most of the time she's just not eating because the fact that her emotions are so high. And it's like, Stephenie Meyer, what are you trying to say about what women are supposed to look like and act like here?
It's a weird like conditioning that she's done to herself, that instead of like a cafeteria being a place where you eat with your friends before you go to class or whatever,
right,
it's like a place where you look and see if Edward Cullen is there and maybe make uncomfortable eye sex or perhaps talk to each other.
Right.
Wild. And then never once eating anything more than actually lemonade. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's not great.
And it's not Bella's fault in that way.
No.
But it's just gross to me that instead of this being a source of community and catching up with people and learning and it being a source of positive experiences, whether or not he's there, it's always a source of extreme emotion.
Yeah.
And that's not cool.
And it's also romanticized too, right? Because like whenever she's talking with Edward and stuff and she's not eating, she's like, well, I don't need to eat. I'm like, this is enough. It's like this really gross bad language.
Right. Yeah, because
around the circumstances.
It was her stomach was full of butterflies. So, no.
That's not nutrition though.
Yeah. I don't
butterflies
want you to
are
live
not nutrition.
off of butterflies, literally or metaphorically.
Yeah.
That's gross. But yeah, she's like holding out.
Just looking out for you.
I know, Bella, just like help me help you.
Oh God.
Because
you're making it so difficult to live.
Truly, I think Edward would also agree with that. But of course, he's not there. And so she's holding on, right, with this last shred of hope that he'll be there in biology, but he's not. And so, fuck studying, fuck knowledge, fuck it all. Because she can't care now.
No.
Because he's not there. Not like she would have really cared if he was there.
No.
So, yikes.
I wonder how her grades are doing.
I mean...
Let's do a little check-in. What's your report card like, Phyllis, since this...
Knowing how intelligent she is, and that she gets her essays done early, it's probably fine. But we don't actually see her doing a lot.
No.
Which is probably for the best, like, from a narrative standpoint, but also still. Like...
Yeah, fair. I don't really care about what you're doing in your gym class.
Right.
Although I kind of do, though, because why were they just doing a lecture on the sport of badminton instead of playing? What gym class operates like this?
Yeah. If there was ever a time where we weren't doing activity in my gym classes, it would be like half of the class. Where you explain
it would be like 10 minutes. Like, this is how you do it. Okay, fucking go.
Yeah.
For like 12 years. Yeah. No one has a lecture class about the sport of badminton.
Truly. I'm only imagining that the reason that the teacher didn't finish the lecture is because everyone was trying to make it last as long as possible, and were trying to ask as many questions so that they wouldn't die from Bella that day.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm just imagining all of her classmates being filled with, like, bruises and, like, lacerations because of what she has done to them accidentally.
Yep,
and so they're like, no, we're going to make this be as long as we possibly can. Just so that
we're just going to try to make it to the end of the year without having to do sports.
Yeah, please, God.
So no one will die under the hands of Bella Swan.
Right, yeah. Ugh. God, this text is just so much sometimes. Because as if we couldn't get away from Bella's pretentiousness, she goes home and ends up reading her classic literature. And, like, it's fine that she has them. I also have had to read these. I had to read them for college, and not because they're my personal favorite, but you can like whatever you want. But she can't be content with them because she realizes that all of the dudes have E names, and she goddamn loses it.
Funny.
It's actually like, really
man.
funny.
It's so funny. She's like, let's she has like this giant book full of like several classic editions or several Jane Austen novels or whatever.
Right.
All in one. And then she's like, okay, cool, let's flip on over to Sense and Sensibility. Oh shit, Edward? Just kidding, folks. Let's move on. Mansfield Park, maybe? Nope. Edmund. That's too close. That's just, cannot do that.
I need to set this thing on fire, actually.
Actually, I can't read Austen ever again, is the thing.
Well, it's a little bit of an Easter egg, because the reason that Meyer named Edward was because of Sense and Sensibility. And
of course.
Having to read that through knowing that, I was like, oh, God. Like, no, thank you. But yeah, of course, she ends up falling asleep out there because it's sunshine, right? So she's actually able to go outside. But the grossest thing about this is that she says that she wakes up, right, and she can hear Charlie coming home, but she has a sudden feeling that she's not alone. And so she calls out and can just hear Charlie's door closing, so she knows that that's not actually him. And it's such a subtle reference to, like, what's going on and all the supernatural stuff.
Spooky.
Yeah, and it's like, but not in necessarily a great way, just in a, like, oh, that's how people feel all the time. Like, right. Like, it's not good. So you could have done this in a little bit of a better way.
Yeah, not effective for what she was probably trying to do there.
Most marginalized communities feel like they're not alone and don't feel good about it. So I don't know that was necessarily an effective way to communicate supernatural effects in this, though. Yeah.
But like, ooh, a ghost, right?
Right, yeah, spooky times. Yeah.
Spooky.
Oh, gosh. It's a lot. The thing that makes me the most sad about this interaction is Charlie just cannot catch a break.
No. And poor Charlie.
He's trying so hard to be a dad to a supportive place for a teenager that, regardless of whether it was a Bella-type teenager or not, all of them are going to be angsty. And so he's trying to understand, like, how she's doing, how her day was, and she just loses it. And cannot care at all about his interest, which is so sad.
And it's like, hey, he's trying, and he's being a good dad.
Right.
Although he couldn't, like, even with any angsty teen, he would have been fine, but just the fact that he had Bella, like, there was no shot. There was no hope.
Yeah, he wasn't going to win regardless. But she ends up communicating to him that she's going to Port Angeles to go find dresses for Angela and Jessica and Lauren, lol.
Not for her, because she's not going, of course.
Of course. And so Charlie asks that. He's like, so you're not going to the dance, right? Did you change your mind? And she's like, no, Dad, obviously.
You would get anything.
Like, yeah, she's just absolutely shitting on his intelligence there.
And she's like, I would never have to explain this to a woman. I was like, oh, gender, LOL.
What about you being...
It's like, maybe you could just easily explain it to someone. Like, it's not that hard. Also, that is a very weird thing that you're doing, also.
Right. Well, and it's like, remember when you were trying to, like, have subtle feminism, like, 2 pages earlier? But you can't now because the idea of anyone not understanding your intentions is somehow wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. And
way to break down that misogyny.
Yeah,
you did it.
Because the idea that there couldn't be a mom that also wouldn't understand the intricacies of going to help friends is just absurd to her. Ugh, yikes, whatever. Bella, you're confusing and cannot make up your mind, which is understandable for adolescents, but also, like, can you chill? Please.
Can we just chill?
Honestly. So that's chapter 7, but... it's basically just a filler.
It only gets worse.
Yeah. Well, it's very much like a rising action to chapter 8, which in and of itself is a shit show of a climax.
Yes.
So she goes to Port Angeles, and she has girl time. And she talks about how the estrogen is invigorating, which, same. But also, what? Because apparently not only can she sense the smell of blood, but she can also just, like, feel estrogen immediately around people. Yeah. Really interesting talent you've got there, my dude. Yeah. But
you are very talented and know your body very well.
Very perceptive. Have a lot of understanding about what's going on, which is great. I encourage it, but also how.
How can I get there?
Yeah, I would like to know your secrets. The thing that fucks me up the most about this, and I had not remembered it as highly as I did, I guess. Bella communicates during this time of them showing off their dresses that she has never had a boyfriend. Or, quote, anything close. So, this is a little fucked up, knowing that where this series is gonna go.
Yeah.
And also,
Yikes.
This specific, like, bit is also what has significantly influenced the 50 Shades series, which is also very gross. So, that's great. And makes me a little unamused with the whole situation.
Like, I mean, we're obviously under the assumption that, you know, there's no sex happening until later, obviously, until marriage, because religion.
Right.
But, like, when you find out that there's no previous emotional relationships, and, like, how manipulative this relationship with Edward is, and just how manipulative he is as a person.
Yeah.
It's so gross. Like, it's so the most. Yeah. And also the fact that she's, like, now getting, like, everyone throwing themselves at her, and she does not know how to deal with any of that.
No.
At all. Because she has has never experienced any of that. It's just so,
And especially knowing that she probably hasn't had an effective education about sex or even intimacy in relationships in general, being that most schools, like a third of them anyways, teach some sort of abstinence-only education.
Yep.
And so just the idea that she has no knowledge of it in general at all. It's like she's going in blind with this is so sad and makes me scared.
Bella.
And makes me frustrated as well because of the fact that Stephenie Meyer could have used this as a plot point to make a statement about something. Because I think that a lot of individuals are in that kind of situation, but instead, she is not. So...
It's more like fetishizing, you know, purity and youth and, like, inexperience and stuff like that, compared to Edward, who is, like, you know, the most experienced because he's been alive for 7 million years. And, like, knows the ropes since he was the first. That was him. The earth exploded and then he was there and just chilling with dinosaurs. It was lit.
Oh my god.
But, like, just that, it's so, gross.
Right.
Which is also something that happens in Terrace House Boys and Girls in the City, but that's a different...
Okay, but honestly, though, that's so real. The thing about this situation that kind of underscores the fact that Bella doesn't have any preparation for what she's dealing with is Jessica finally explains why Lauren has fit into her archetype of being so
finally
rude.
Some context.
It's not Lauren, because Lauren didn't end up showing up to this thing. It's just Jessica doing it. And she says that Tyler is telling everyone that he's going to prom with Bella. And Bella loses all ability to breathe. Effectively. Which, knowing her character now, not surprising. But also, fair. I don't know that was an effective way to respond to the situation, except for now that you know she has no concept of how to respond to these kinds of situations.
Right.
But...
Like, I get it, but it's also just, like...
It's a lot.
It's not that deep.
It's not that deep. Yeah. It doesn't also really justify the fact that Lauren was acting that way towards Bella.
Yeah, not at all.
Because she could have just asked Bella about it. But no. Instead...
Communication in a young adult novel? What?
Absurd. Absurd concepts. That's just unreal. But yeah, so they move on, get dresses, get shoes, do all that shit. It's great. It's lit. Whatever.
Estrogen through the roof.
Yeah. And surprisingly, no promos to any places because it's still 2005. So that's great. But they finish early. So, of course, Bella's like, deuces, going out on my own in this random place that I don't really know. Bye.
Fuck y'all. I'm going to a bookstore because y'all aren't literate enough to want to go to a bookstore with me.
You all cannot match my level of intelligence, so I need to go on my own for this excursion. Ugh. And
the bookstore she does find, though, is, like, me. She finds this place that's, like, full of crystals and, like, spiritual healing stuff in the walls, and I'm like, yes, lit. Are we having a chapter on this? And she's like, ugh, I could never step foot in there. I'm like, okay, never mind then, Bella.
When she talks about even the owner of it, too, I was like, is this Cody, though?
It was just me. Like, I own this shop. This is my store.
Everything is like tie-dye and khaki and like
lit.
Me. Just like kombucha everywhere. It's just like, oh yeah.
Did I tell you that I'm taking a class on the occult next semester?
I'm so proud of you, but also it's just like it really fits your brand, I guess is the best way to say it.
It's truly, I'm taking branding to a whole new level in my academia.
You're finally getting educational support for your brand, which is
finally
all that I've asked for. I love it. The thing is, so she dismisses this kind of intelligence and this kind of spirituality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yikes, first of all. And then leaves and goes into the grossest kind of situation, I guess. And I don't know how I feel about this situation because of the fact that on the one hand, it's real and happens a lot to people of being like followed and stalked and something almost happening. But on the other hand, it's not, I don't know. There isn't really like a message out of it. And I don't know that there needs to be, but also it's literature, so like, shouldn't there be?
Yeah. Right. It's also like you're taking this vulnerability that she's experiencing by being followed and by being like catcalled or whatever.
Yeah.
And then using that as a way to make Edward look really great for saving her in that moment.
Right.
So it's just kind of like, well, like, was the point to just showcase how great of a guy Edward is, or just to, or the fact that, to highlight that, Bella as a woman alone in the streets of the city that she doesn't know is being attacked. Probably not that one, though.
And rereading this, I was thinking, like, okay, so she's hitting on points that are very true to someone who would be experiencing this. Like, she's thinking about the pepper spray, which is not there. And she's trying to remember, like, screaming, which she can't do because her throat's dry. She's trying to remember self-defense things. Like, these are all very expected thought processes. But then, of course, and I don't know if it's necessarily for the best, the situation is interrupted, but it's interrupted by Edward and not by what you would expect, which is, like, Jessica or Angela.
Yeah.
So... Ugh.
It's also like, hey, you needed this guy to, like, basically follow you and see where you were going to be able to help you rather than, people that are there with you and should be, expected to be there, in a sense.
And the weirdest thing, I guess, about the whole situation is the way that she writes Edward showing up, because she says that he commands to her, like, get into the car. And then she's
like, I feel so safe.
Yeah, she's like, oh, it's just wild how my fear has just gone.
No.
That's not...
Absolutely not.
That is not how that experience happens, though, is the thing.
No.
Because even if someone that you trust or feel comfortable around interrupts a situation like that, you're still gonna have, like, physiological experiences of fear in that.
Yeah.
So, yikes. And I don't know, in that point, if she's, like, leaning towards the supernatural, But I think that it still does harm, because I think that if someone experiences something like this, which statistically they will, they're going to feel wrong for feeling fear still, I guess. So I don't know. It just feels gross to me. Yeah.
It's like, it could have been really well executed and, like, shown a light on something, but it was just used as a tool to, like, make Edward seem like a great guy and make, like, you know, a knight in shining armor kind of thing happen.
Yeah,
in absolutely. This, like, real moment of, like, fear and not vulnerability.
Exactly. And it doesn't get better when they get into the car and he does interrupt the situation, because of the fact that he's only focusing on himself. The thing that pissed me off the most is he tells her, just prattle about something unimportant until I calm down. What?
Yeah. Also, the first thing she says when she's in the car is like, are you okay? Like, she asked him if he's okay. And I'm like, what? Why? What?
That part, I guess, doesn't surprise me too much, because I do that. So,
fair.
Like, and I think that when you are in shock, I think it's hard to understand what you're personally going through. But I do think that, I don't know that that was necessarily an important thing to include there. Because if she's not normalizing everything else, including that bit makes it just seem like this part is only about him.
Right.
So the fact that this car scene is solely about him having to calm down so that he doesn't go back and rip these people apart, and not focusing on her experience, even though that was the reason that he showed up in the first place, makes no sense for his character even in general.
No.
And she just tries to justify it as like, oh, I have a bad temper. No. Because, and we haven't gotten to this bit yet, but I mean, even if it wasn't a part of his character and it was just because of the fact that he's lived a long time, you would hope that he was trauma-informed. Because the fact that his dad's a doctor, you know, like his faux dad, whatever. And, like...
You're not my real dad.
You're not my real dad. Fuck off, Carlisle. But, like, you would understand that if he's lived that long and he's well-read as he is, he would understand how people respond to shock and fear. Right. And he would be focused on them instead. But he's not. Yeah. So it doesn't fit either of their characters, really. Yeah. It's gross, and I don't like it.
Like, the fact that he's just, like... is so focused on him and being like, oh, well, it's such a burden that, like, I have to, like, try not to tear these dudes apart and, like, kill them or whatever. It's like, how about you make sure that Bella's, like, literally alive and, like, feels, like, safe?
Truly.
Maybe that would be nice,
yeah,
but, you know, whatever. Yeah. No, just brood and, like, you know, dry heave for a little bit. That's fine.
Yeah, that would be great. And it doesn't get better. Unfortunately,
it never does.
It just gets weirder, because he ends up driving her to the place that she was supposed to go to dinner with Jessica and Angela.
And she's like 7 years late.
She's 7 years late. She didn't tell him where she was going for dinner.
No.
And she's even like, how did you know? And then she just stops and shakes her head. What?
Can we stop normalizing this crazy behavior?
Literally, this behavior is not good. It's not okay.
You literally research vampires, and you're still like, yeah, this is, like, fine, though.
Yeah, it's not normal, and you are still like, yeah, cool. No, it's the thing. It's gross and weird.
Isn't my boyfriend weird? Wow.
Yeah, isn't he just so, like, quirky?
He's so quirky.
Wow. Yeah, it's gross.
He, like, finishes my own sentences. It's crazy.
Right. Wow. Don't like it. And they get there, and he dazzles them. Like, he dazzles Jess and Angela to
the fact that she uses the word dazzle.
Truly. In order to, like, have Jessica and Angela leave so that he can have dinner with her alone instead of letting her go home.
Yeah. And the fact that he didn't even eat anyway, he just watched her eat and drink all of the beverages they got.
Truly, yeah.
So he was just like, yeah, I just want to be here and watch you do human things.
Exactly. Because they get in there, and he finally admits that he has some sort of knowledge about trauma. Because he's like, well, I'm actually waiting for you to go into shock. And he smiles. Weird. Creepy and gross. And she's like, oh yeah, I don't think that will happen. I've always been very good at repressing unpleasant things. One, same. But also, yikes. Because that's also not... No, Stephanie, that's not good, though, is the thing.
No.
I think it's okay to have your human in the situation naturally respond to something that's traumatic and terrifying. Yeah. I don't understand your goal here, other than to make her seem like a supernatural human, but in the process of doing that, you're invalidating a lot of folks. Gross is the thing.
No, thank you.
Yeah, that's a hard pass for me, actually. And there's a lot of conversation in this dinner situation about, like, what a normal human is like.
Uh-huh.
And I don't like it, though, is the thing. Because he's just like, you should be, though. You should be actually really shook. A normal person would be shook. I think that's fair. That's a normal thing.
But also, people process things differently.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, it's very normal to not, deal with trauma the same exact way.
Truly, yeah. And I think that for some people as well, if you are used to repressing things like that, it will come on later. Especially because right now she's having to perform in a situation and respond to someone that she has a crush on and be in a public place. So she's probably not going to have to break down, especially given the fact that she lived most of her life mothering her mother. So she knows how to hold on to things. So, I don't know. That was not dealt with great for me personally.
More of Edward claiming to know more about Bella's life than Bella knows.
Honestly, you would think at this point that after he heard all that and he's this, like, omnipresent, all-knowing person, that he would remember that and be able to access that knowledge. But alas, he's still all consumed with how much he wants to go back and rip the throats out of those dudes. Great. Thanks, Edward.
Thank you.
How did you feel about the hypothetical situation that they get into?
Oh, God. So... So, like, if anyone ever says, like, so hypothetically speaking, like, they're talking about them is the thing.
So asking for a friend.
Right. Like, let's say somebody, hypothetically would, could read someone's mind or, like, know what people are thinking and know where they are all the time. Definitely not you, Edward, but someone else, and definitely not to me. Nope, nuh-uh. How would that happen?
Right.
Is that normal?
And the fact that he follows that up and is like, just one exception, hypothetically.
Right. It's like, he keeps trying to play the game, but is also half giving her information. Like, it's so silly.
It is. It's really silly. And then just finally gives up on it. And is like, you know what, actually, I just followed you to Port Angeles, though. Okay. And then tries to justify that with the fact of, like, I've never tried to keep someone alive before, but it's just really hard because you're you. And when it comes to most people, they can make it through the day without a lot of catastrophes happening.
Yeah, you train wreck.
Yeah. So if you know that she's, like, on the cusp of going into shock, you're going to say this to her?
Right. And wow, it's wild that you're not, like, in shock right now. Also, I definitely followed you here like a normal person.
And you fucking suck at being a human, Bella, actually.
Yeah.
Hope that doesn't, hope that doesn't cause you into going into a spiral right now. Lol.
Nah.
Like, oh my god, I don't get it. I don't understand. Because he's trying to justify why he's doing what he's doing, but none of it is really an effective justification for following someone anywhere.
No. Like, and I can get it from this stance of, oh, he can't even, like, justify it to himself. Like, he doesn't even know why he's doing all this wild stuff because he's so, like, in love or whatever, or dazzled by Bella.
Right.
But, like, that's still, it's weird. It doesn't make the weird things he's doing less weird. Still very much weird.
Yes. And
it's, like, the same thing where people are like, oh, like, when people do, like, quote-unquote stalkerish, for lack of a better term, things, and it's like, oh, it's different if it's someone you're into or someone you think is attractive, but if it's not, then it's like those actions are considered valid.
Right. Yeah.
But, like, they're all trash. It's all trash.
It's all gross, and I think the fact that he doesn't have an effective reason for doing what he's doing is only underscored when he talks about why he couldn't let her go with Jessica and Angela, because the fact that he was like, I was afraid if you left me alone, I would go looking for them. Okay, so I have a few questions. Because why are you still putting this on her?
Yeah.
None of this is her fault. So don't.
Just keep it together.
You are the one that's supposed to be a superhuman here. Can you keep your chill? Because you're acting a lot like a 17-year-old, actually. And I don't like it. Edward, please stop.
Boy.
Literally a boy. You are being a boy child right now.
You 100-year-old man-child. You know better.
Edward, I would slap you on your hand if it wouldn't break my whole body. I don't get it. Why are you doing this?
If I smacked your wrist, my bones would just crumble.
Literally. So the chapter ends, finally, with them...
After 7 years.
With Bella being thankful that they're getting into a car together.
For an hour-long drive home.
Yeah. And that's where it ends. Thank God.
Yeah. Praise be.
Praise be. Oh, no. Like, it's so... What an unsatisfying
I read, like, the first sentence of the next one, and I was like, I actually don't want to do this anymore. I just don't... I want to quit now.
And we're only a third of the way through
the first book.
Yeah, through a fourth of the way through the main saga. Not even through, like, the extra books and through the other things. Like, there is so much. We just started this podcast.
I'm so sad.
It's frustrating, I think, for me as well, because when I read these the first time, like, as my 14-year-old baby child, none of this was like, weird. That's kind of gross.
Right.
I mean, it probably was, but I can't actively remember being like, that's nasty.
Sure.
And that's so
the patriarchy.
Yeah. Gross is the thing, actually. I don't like it, and that makes me sad, because that, I'm sure, happened to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I want to take Bella and be like, I know that you're pretentious right now because you're an adolescent, but shut the fuck up and be safe is the thing. And I want to be like, Edward, you piece of shit that's trying to do your best. Just stop and think about what you're doing, and then try to proceed in an effective way.
Next week, chapters 9 and 10.
Yay.
This is an Earbud Media production. You can follow us on Twitter at Earbud Media, and also eventually earbudmedia.net. Not yet, though.
No.
You can also follow the show, Into the Twilight, on Twitter, at Into the Twilight. We have a Tumblr, intothetwilightshow.tumblr.com.
It's so good, y'all.
Allie's safe place.
It is, like, it is my safe word and my safe place, honestly. Like, I love that thing so much. Oh my God.
We also have an email address, so if you'd like to send us any of your trash from, like, 10 years ago that you still have saved,
do it, please.
Do it. It's intothetwilightshow@gmail.com.
Yes.
We also have a Patreon if you want to send us cash.
Yep.
Be a part of the Shiny Squad. We have cool perks. You can get access to a bunch of fun stuff on our Patreon-only feed. It's lit. You can find Allie on the internet at 23ofme everywhere. She keeps it tight and consistent.
I do. I know I used it before, but I just feel that emotionally today. So
That's just my feelings.
It's just like how I personally feel today.
That's just where I'm at right now. Like my soul and my body.
Yeah. So, yeah.
You can find me on the internet at Cody Captures or codycorral.co or
I haven't used that one before. That's scary.
Oh my god. I started selling art stuff, photo prints of some of my stuff. So if you'd like to buy any of those things for your wall, if you want, you can. codycorral.bigcartel.com, or that's also on codycorral.co or my Twitter, anything. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our art is by Maddie Padilla.
And it's
She's
so
the fucking best. You can find her stuff on Instagram at yourghosthost44 and other places on the internet, but that's where all the art is, and it's great.
It is.
And she sells stuff too that you can find through there. Hire her, do the things.
This is a personal call out to Eli Krause, who does our music,
Okay.
who's dope as hell. I don't know him. I'm sure he's great. You can find his shit at krausefilms.com. Eli, what the fuck you doing? Are you listening to our stuff? Let us know. I want to know. So just do it. Thank you.
I had nothing to do with this, just so we're
It's
clear.
true. Cody had no idea that I was going to do that. So I'm sorry, Cody, and I'm sorry, Eli.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah. Is that it? Did we do all the things?
It's snowing a lot, so I'm going to go.
Okay, well,
Have a great
when we start talking about the weather, we know it's over.
Yeah.
As we say at Forks.
Get bit!